All right, so today, before I even got inside the gym, I was talking to ChatGPT on a variety of different subjects, right? How to make the perfect sandwich, why do people buy a certain car? And then I got inside and I started asking ChatGPT the real questions. Why are people broke? Why is the system keeping people like this? Why is there a lack of opportunity? Big questions. And when I got to the point where I was asking ChatGPT, how do I make it worse for people at the bottom, give them less opportunity, make mental health worse for them? Give me the dark stuff, ChatGPT. It refused to answer my questions and came back with a comment that I'm only here to provide positive solutions and upbeat answers, which made me start thinking of financial gurus. What do they tell people? They never tell you that you're never going to own your own home. They never tell you that you're not going to amount to anything. That for the vast majority, the 99%, the proletariat, there are no good jobs. They don't want to tell you the things that will make you start bleeding out of your rear and out of your ears, because the system only functions with good little widgets. When you start looking at the dark side of why we have so many homeless people, why we have a failed medical care system, why everything sucks, and we're a first world country that doesn't have universal basic health care. Because guess what? United Healthcare is up there in profit making. It's up there with Google, Apple, Amazon. It's huge. I had no idea that for profit healthcare in America was that high up there until I was looking at a list of companies whose earnings top the charts in this country. Why would you give it away for free? Because when you can make money from something, you're going to keep doing it. And that's what came into my head as I was having these thoughts. I thought, there are so many people out there giving out rotten financial advice to people that don't have money. And one of the most common things I see in my comments is, how do I get rich now? I don't want to be rich later. I want to be rich right now. And that's never going to be possible. And as Dave Ramsey said, taking away people's hope is the most evil thing you can do. But guess what? We don't have a million homeless people because everyone has the same access to financial opportunities. We have the economy that we have, the jobs that we have, because rich people want it that way. Our policymakers want it that way. The whole way that our society functions is that they want it that way. No universal basic income, no universal housing, no universal food. Like, the system is designed in a way that you couldn't make it more evil if you tried. I was I was just thinking about how many traps, how many hurdles there are out there in order to keep the proletariat moving in single file through their lives. Again, the reason I use pregnant women, and there's probably going to be one that you've seen at some point during this video, is because it goes to show how easy it is for the system to continually create workers that don't want to exist. I don't want to exist to be poor. I want to exist to be rich, or at least comfortable. A few months of vacation a year, maybe a hot wife, and a giant house in a gated community. Come on in. But instead, I have a roach infested studio apartment that I bust my hump for that I can barely afford. This isn't reality to me. When I wake up in the morning and I open my eyes for the first time and I look around at cell block B and think, uh-oh, soon it's going to be time for the work release program. And then you hear the warden of this prison open up the gates for everyone to go to work. And then he's ready for you at 5:01 to show for you to show back up to your cell and put you back inside. No fun, no benefits, just a cold, hard nature of don't drop the soap, homie, because that's where you're going to find true love as a single male not making enough money to find a mate. All right, with that rosy introduction, let's get into my monologue. They love to tell us that being broke is a personal failure. Like we're just one skipped coffee away from financial freedom. But let's be real. Wages are stagnant, rent is outrageous, and basic survival feels like a luxury. The same people preaching just work harder conveniently forgot that the system is designed to keep us struggling, not succeeding. So maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't that we're bad with money. It's the game was rigged from the start. You're bad with money is something that's burned into my brain from the general manager at Walmart. Every time he saw his workers who had to skip lunch or showed up hungry or had to five-finger discount something from the shelf because they were starving, he would always walk up to me and say, you know why that is? Because they spent all their money on an Xbox, or they bought an iPhone, or they're spending too much money on illicit substances. And I would just look at him, it's like, you pay all of these people minimum wage. And then you get mad at them because they're using the wages that they make in order to zone out. What do we do with our money? We buy booze, we buy entertainment, and we buy some of the devil's lettuce. All for what? To escape the reality of being a wage slave. That's what I'm going to be doing. As soon as I'm done making this video, I am going to crack a top and I am going to be 3 sheets to the wind within an hour of you guys seeing this video. And that's where I'm going to stay for the rest of my life because there's nothing to live for. There's nothing to look forward to. As I've said before, I've never been on a vacation in my entire adult life. The last time I went on vacation, I was 16 years old, and we were going on our annual trip to visit my grandparents. That was the last time I would ever travel more than like 20 miles. I mean, a couple of weeks ago when I went to Flagstaff is the longest trip I've ever been in a car since I was with my parents. And there's a reason for that. People like me don't travel. We don't have friends. We don't have family. We don't have anyone to see. People ask me all the time, Millennials team, how come you've never been on an airplane? I'm like, why? Where am I going to go on an airplane? As a single, angry, depressed man, the best place for me to stay is here, in the dark, with nothing to do, and the only thing to look forward to is fleece Monday morning at 8. I can already picture myself assuming the position with my hands on my desk and being like, let's just get it over with. You're not going to this isn't going to be gentle. Because Fleece always knows there's only one way. The hard way. And that's the way life is. Life is always about the hard way. Even when you could use a little extra lube back there. Just a little, just a drop maybe. But no, life has to be hard. If you didn't get the privilege of being born to a wealthy parents, it's the hard way all the way into the pine box. And with that said, let's get into talking point number 1. And this is exactly why I can't make 10-minute videos because it takes me 10 minutes to get to the talking points. So here we go. Most financial advice is built on the idea that if you're broke, it's your fault. Instead of acknowledging the systemic issues, financial experts push unrealistic solutions like cutting out your coffee or just working harder. As I've said before, these companies want you working 200 hours a week, whereas my sound advice is, again, I'm going to advocate for the 1 hour, 1 day work week. That's what I want. And to me, what the corporations want is just as ridiculous as what I want. They don't want to advocate for the 1 hour, 1 day work week. They want you working 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. That's how unrealistic their standards are. And that's the kind of work that you would have to do in your crummy job in order to barely pay your bills. You're not going to get rich doing hourly work. There's one thing that I can truly tell you guys: if you're working for someone else, especially an evil corporation, you are never going to get ahead. All the financial advice in the world about stop eating your avocado toast, if you need a home, just buy it, invest in stock, be frugal, be a minimalist, don't spend too much. But when you don't have anything to spend, what financial advice can you give to a person that can't see? That's how bad it is when it comes to financial advice that's on the internet. These financial gurus. If you can't see where you're going because you're too poor, and the problem is you don't have eyes, telling you to turn right at the sign isn't going to help you. And that's how useful it is to give financial advice to poor people. They don't got it. Why do you think that within walking distance of my current place, of where I'm sitting right now, I could walk to the pawn shop, sell all my gadgets for 20 bucks, then walk further down the street to the 24-hour drive-through liquor store, spend the money that I just earned by selling all my electronics, and then walk right next door to the payday loan place? That's how much they have us pegged. We're poor people. And poor people need to be exploited, not just their labor, but every aspect of poor people needs to be monetized. Even their hopes and dreams need to be monetized. This is why financial advisors exist. Why they get so popular, because you're selling people the 99% of pipe dream of retiring early and just save a little money. Your retirement's right there. If retirement was really that easy for early retirement, wouldn't be would wouldn't we all be retired at age 30 instead of working till you're 80 in a mindless, repetitive job that doesn't like you? That's what really gets me. Out of everything I say on this channel, the fact that most people won't open their eyes that rich people don't like them. Because rich people want you to work for free. It's an inconvenience to them to pay for labor or hell, even pay taxes. They wish that they could get out of paying people just that same way. They look for loopholes. Why do you think food stamps exist? Section 8 housing or any sort of public assistance exists because corporations won't pay people enough. They don't care how mentally destroyed you are by going to a crummy job and having financial problems. I've told my corporation that they're not paying enough. And you know what they say? Well, sorry, if you don't like it here, go somewhere else. That's the stance of every company I've ever worked for my entire life. And once you stop caring at work, once you start doing as little as humanly possible, that's when you've already branded yourself anti-corporation, and you're not going to be there long. Talking point number 2. Many influencers and money gurus aren't actually trying to help. They're selling courses, books, and coaching programs. The reality, most of them started with privilege, lucky breaks, or wealth they don't disclose. Why would you tell people that you were a multimillionaire at the age of 24, Dave Ramsey? Because they want to push the unrealistic standard that anyone can go from being homeless to being a millionaire. In fact, there was some idiot that tried to do that and because of health reasons had to give up on it right away. I'll tell you, as a former homeless person myself, repeatedly throughout my life, it is not easy to get off the street. It is not easy to find a job when you don't have connections. In fact, the Lack of opportunity has a lot to do with where you came from. And that opportunity doesn't just show up. It's like the magic ladder that you're supposed to climb at Evil Corp. It doesn't exist, or it's a hologram, or it's painted on the wall. But it doesn't exist because there aren't more success stories. Sure, we can talk about that one guy from the ghetto who rose out of the trash, wiped himself off, and now he's a Harvard educated professor. Sure, we also get one winner for the lottery every time it gets over $1 billion. We also get that guy, right? Those are your chances. Everyone is born with a ticket, and that ticket is either a dud or it's going to take you places. But the system doesn't work unless it's filled with 99% losers. The system wants you to lose, and it is the ultimate casino at making losers. It wants to take everything out of your pockets that it can, exploit you till the day they put you in the pine box, and keep telling you. Because in toxic positivity, I'll get to what I mean by this, but let's move on to our final talking point here. Talking point number 3: the out of touch nature of traditional financial advice. Buy a house in cash, never finance a car, or invest early and retire at age 30 are all common advice, but completely unrealistic for the average poor person, the average working class person. You're not going to be able to suddenly save $20,000 to buy your car. Besides, you can't even buy a car for $20,000. Not a nice car, not a new car. I mean, I've looked at what cars cost. Even my car right now, if I had to buy it new, would cost me twice as much as my current Promobile. I can't afford that. You can't afford that. No one can afford that. There aren't people out here showing up at car dealerships with a ton of cash. The only time that I've met a person who bought a car all in cash, she was a lady that worked at a place where they have poles on the stage. She was a very good looking girl, and she worked 1 day a week, and she was doing pretty damn good for herself. She worked 1 day a week, and that's all she had to work. 4 hour shift, boom. But for me, looking like this, a definite sub 1 on the scale of 1 to 10, this ain't gonna get people to give me money. That's for sure. In fact, I might go in the opposite direction, where corporations want to take our money. Let's face it, most of the proletariat, it's pretty damn ugly. When I look at other proletariat women and I'm like, ugh, can I do any better? No. Oh, well, I guess I'll just have to stay single for the rest of my life because I'm not shacking up with another one. What's the point? I'd have a better time shaking hands with the governor 10 times a day than I would with Susie Rottencrotch looking at me like, Millennial Steam, why aren't you making more money? Why are you home right now, Millennial Steam, when you could be out working? These are the kinds of conversations that I want to avoid with the opposite sex because it ain't worth it. At the end of the day, come home, pull up the hub, smack it, do whatever you're into, you're done. You don't need Susie Rottencrotch that's a 1 looking at you cross-eyed wondering why you're not working more. Not a conversation I personally want to have. Anyhow, running out of time. So this is what I was saving for the end. And this is actually part of the script that ChatGPT wrote up. So normally I would actually type toxic positivity right into the ChatGPT web window or web page, right? But it gave me this in the introduction. The reality is, if most people could buy a car or home in cash, they would. The fact that they can't isn't a personal failing. It's the result of an economy that has made basic necessities unaffordable. And to that extent, it told me that channels like mine aren't popular because I don't reinforce the idea that somehow that regardless of what I say to you, that I'm wrong. They need people believing that things are going to get better. You know, let's see. Let's see. I think so. This is what it put at the end. This is what it said. Final takeaway, call to action. Listen, I'm not saying you shouldn't save or be smart with money, but let's be real. This economy is designed to keep us struggling. Instead of blaming yourself, start questioning the system because they don't want you to. Um, they don't want you to win. Um, so there was another talking point here at some point where it told me that, um, let's see, right. I think this is it. No, where did it go? Anyhow, I'll have to write it down and then put it in the comments section. But it was really a great thing. It's like people want to go onto channels and watch videos that make them believe that they're just one paycheck away from financial freedom. They don't like hearing the truth about what's really happening in society. No one wants to hear that you're broke and that more than likely you're going to stay broke, regardless of all the financial advice in the world. Because poor people are poor because they don't have money, not because they have all these great opportunities and have all the money in the world to invest. We are here because we're the human cattle that is necessary in order to enrich the rich forever.